Katherine Jenerette, thanks for taking some time to talk to me today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
First off, I want to give you a chance to let voters know who you are. I think you have kind of a unique standing among all the candidates because you're in the reserves.
Right, I'm a captain in the Army Reserve. That's correct. I just finished a tour of duty in Afghanistan. I'm a U.S. Army paratrooper and jump out of airplanes. Sometimes I don't know what's scarier, coming and talking to you or jumping out of airplanes. But I'm also a Coastal Carolina graduate and also a USC with my master's degree. Mother of 4, married to the same father. There's 4 children for 20 plus years. And I was a history instructor as well before I went to Afghanistan. I decided to jettison that job, but also I was a congressional aide here in the 1st Congressional District. So that also gives me a little bit of a different, unique background.
You're a busy person.
Yes. Yes. They always say if you want something done, find a busy person to do it. So
let's talk a little bit about the 7th District and why you're running. There are a lot of candidates out there for this position.
Right.
Why do you think you're the candidate that should be elected?
Well, the one thing I'd like to tell the voters is that I'm a fighter, that I've got their back. And I don't just say it, I do it. You know, going to Afghanistan was my 2nd tour of duty. I also went to Desert Storm. I'm an Operation Desert Storm veteran. And so I think with that background and my experience as a congressional aide and my experience as a history instructor actually gives me, you know, a well-rounded background. Having lived around the world as a military brat as well, gives me a different perspective than my opponents. And I know that there's 434 other congressmen up there that you have to deal with, and certainly me by myself I couldn't, you know, make miracles happen. But what I could do is take care of this district, take care of the people in the district. Constituent service is bar none the most important thing. But there's some things on the table that I'd like to see get done.
Let's talk about some of the local issues that people from the Grand Strand and PD are going to be interested in as they head to the polls. First off, I-73, which really affects the entire district.
Right.
Of course, Myrtle Beach really pushing forward to get tourists here easier, but a lot of people in the PD say that it would bring jobs. But some people say this isn't the time to build it. We don't have the money to build it. What do you think? Can we build this?
Well, Tim, as you know, when we get federal funds, we have to match those federal funds at the state level, and we're not in a position to do that right now. And I think I-73 is an awesome idea, and it's a long time coming. But I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I would love to be a grandmother, but now's not the time. So I think now's not the time to be funding an I-73 until we get our house in order, being the U.S. Capitol House in order, and getting you know, some of this deficit taken care of, and spending under control.
How about any infrastructure interests in our area to take to Washington? Is there anything that you think that could be done to, I don't know, improve some of the areas, to bring jobs to parts of the area?
Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution actually spells that out. That's what Congress should be focused on: infrastructure, commerce, the post office, and our defense. And so, yes, we should be focused on infrastructure, without a doubt. We can do smaller projects, I think, and give us a good bang for our buck. For example, 31, where I'm living in North Myrtle Beach, we could put a spur on 31 to connect with 74, 76 in North Carolina. That'll give us just another avenue, if you will, of easier access. The dredging in the port of Georgetown, immediate, you know, we'll get an immediate result out of that by dredging that, bringing jobs to the port of Georgetown. So those are things that don't cost us as much as the I-73, but are fixes that we can actually put in place that I think are doable.
And along those lines, just to kind of hit on what I think is going to be one of the bigger issues in this election, which is the economy, and talking about those parts of the 7th Congressional District, Marlborough County, Marion County, where the unemployment rates are among the highest in the state having among the highest unemployment rates in the nation. What do you do to bring jobs here? Well,
education is very important, because education, if you don't have a good education system, you can't attract employers. And bring their initial component to come here to build that business. With that said, that's a state issue, but the Department of Education stands in our way of doing that by nickeling and diming us to death. $69 billion with a capital B goes in the Department of Education, and then they go and they give it back to the state as a grant or a give me. There's always strings attached to it. Oh, we'll give you this money if you do X. Well, if we leave that money in our state in the first place, we know what to do with it, more so than someone in Washington, D.C. telling our teachers in the classroom or telling our administrators how to run their schools. So even though that's more of a local issue, it's also a federal issue as well. So I would get rid of the Department of Education completely. Jimmy Carter put it in place in 1979, and Reagan actually ran on trying to get rid of it. I think our teachers do a fine job in South Carolina, but I think they would do a better job without the federal government telling them what to do in their classroom. Immediate relief, get rid of the federal tax on gas. Put a moratorium on it. With people having more money in their pocket to spend, they're more willing to spend it. And plus, when you go to Walmart or Bi-Lo or Kroger or any other grocery store, when you go to buy groceries, I don't know if you notice this, but the price of groceries have hit the roof. I mean, I have 4 kids to feed. So when I go, I'm like, oh my God, how did this can of nuts go from $3.47 to $6.63 in a couple of weeks? The gas is killing us. And making an immediate moratorium on the gas tax will give the money, also enhance business because they have to truck that stuff in. So that's immediate. 16th Amendment income tax. I know that's a lofty idea to get rid of that amendment, and it's very important, I think, to look at the fair tax. I'm very much into the fair tax. But that, again, we have to look at income tax and lower the income tax and stop beating people up over their labor, because when they have more take-home pay, they spend more money. They either save it or they spend it. And right now, everybody's holding on to every dime they have because they don't have extra money to spend. And I know on the Grand Strand, in the tourist industry, we're seeing the results of that. You know, people go, okay, do I decide to go to the grocery store and bring all my food into the condo, or do I go out to a restaurant and eat? And the choices, more than not, are going to the grocery store to save $1 or $2 so that they can do something else. You know, so people are having to choose. If we give them immediate relief, then they can have more money to spend. The businesses, we have to stop these regulations over top of businesses that are killing them. OSHA requirements. Now we have the healthcare requirement of them having to provide health care for employees.
The ADA with the pool lift,
right?
is one of them that has affected the Grand Strand a lot.
Absolutely. And what do? We go and beg for more worker visas overseas because we're strangled with all these regulations. And so we need to start looking at those and peeling them back and allowing employers to do what they do best, employ and make a profit. Because if they're not making a profit, they're not employing people. And if they're not employing people, people are out of business.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the broader national issues. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Katherine Jenerette, a Republican running for the 7th Congressional District. See, one of many Republicans running for it. I want to talk about some of the broader national issues, and I think you could probably bring a unique perspective being a member of the military.
Right.
And I want to talk about Afghanistan. We're, for all intents and purposes, out of Iraq. We still have a major contingent there, but Afghanistan's something that we say is going to be winding down, but that winding down period is going to go on until 2024, which means my 6-year-old son could be in Afghanistan one day.
Potentially could be, yeah. Absolutely.
What do you think about what's happening in Afghanistan?
My 19-year-old is in ROTC over at Coastal and finished his first year, so I'm there with you, Tim. And you know, as a mama, it's good enough for me to go over there, but not for him.
Right.
So I think we're making great strides in Afghanistan. One thing I have to say, though, is after 9/11, when they came and hit us in the United States of America, we couldn't sit back and just let them do that. So we had to go over there and kick their butts and make them take notice. The one plus, well, there's several pluses about us being over there right now and to remain over there. Iran's on notice, Pakistan's on notice. So we kind of got them surrounded, if you will. And the difference between Afghanistan and Iraq, a lot of people don't understand, is the literacy rate. In Iraq, the literacy rate was something like 75%. In Afghanistan, it's the total opposite. The illiteracy rate is almost 75%. So, you know, we're dealing with a whole different type of dynamic when trying to get the government up and started and running. And they'll make a great trading partner. They'll make, you know, they have 100 million resources over there as far as mineral rights and, you know, who knows, oil or whatnot. What we need to do is stay the course. We don't go fight and then cut and run. And as I said, Iran has had to take notice. No sooner did we say we were going to stay there until 2024 than Iran offered a piece of their port to Afghanistan, and trying to be the good neighbor, because they know we're not going anywhere. So, you know, we have to continue down that road, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but by us being there, they're not here. We haven't had a terrorist attack since you know, 2001, and that's why we won it. We'd rather fight them there than fight them here.
And our intelligence, I guess, deserves a lot of credit to that too, after what happened last week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Our intelligence are amazing. Osama bin Laden being captured and killed, you know, in Pakistan. That's I know, a big fish on the big screen for everybody, but we get Taliban commanders all the time, similar to the way we took him out. So it's like whack-a-mole. I say you hit one down and another one pops up. But fortunately for us, they're not as prepared and armed as they could be. And so as long as we keep that pressure on them, they'll continue to stay down.
Let's talk about health care. Just about everybody who I've had here, even a couple of Democrats, say that some of the health care law or all of the health care law needs to be dismantled.
The whole thing needs to go in the trash and start all over again. 1994, Hillary Clinton started down this road, and we should have seen it coming. I mean, she put it together. She was going to go down the road, and she was going to make the socialistic medicine happen. I mean, that was her dream. She handed the football off, if you will, to the next player, and they pursued it as well. And I wouldn't doubt that the Supreme Court is going to throw it out, as the players who put it together want them to throw it out. It's my contention that they want to go back to the drawing board and say, oh, well, you know, it's unconstitutional, make you pay for it, so don't worry, the tab's on us, the government will take care of it. And I think that's the next step, and we need to be prepared for that. It's not about people having health care or not having health care. It's about people being able to afford health care. It's about people being able to afford the insurance. A family of four pays $600–700 a month. You know, that's more than a car payment for health care. And then you have this guy over here who doesn't pay anything and uses the emergency room for their health care. So what we really need to do is get all the stakeholders at the table and say, what is in the best interest of everybody? The patient, the doctor, the insurance, the pharmaceutical firms. And I'm sure there is a happy medium somewhere where everyone will be able to get health care, but it will cost them. I mean, it's not freebie. The government is not there to do handouts. I mean, the Constitution says we give you equal rights, but that doesn't mean we're going to give you all these other perks that have come along.
We touched on it briefly before, but there have been a few federal impacts on the Grand Strand that upset or got the interest of the business community. One of them being the requirement that pool lifts being in any public pool, part of the ADA. And then another about glass enclosures over hotels, that we can't have these glass enclosures because of a hurricane could blow them and glass could go everywhere. So they need to take these glass enclosures down during hurricane season. What do you think about these kind of regulations?
That's an overreach of the federal government. The 10th Amendment allows for anything that the feds are in control of, you know, at the federal level. The 10th Amendment basically says anything that they are not permitted to do is for the state and the people, respectively, to take care of. The feds don't know what's right for South Carolina. They don't know what's right for Alaska or Florida, but South Carolinians do. And so the feds, I think, have overreached their power in a lot of regulations. And what happens is they have these agencies and these departments that they, you know, put into place, and those agencies and departments, in order to continue down the road of existence have to do something. So what are they going to do? They're going to start putting together regulations and rules and laws, and that's for Congress to do, not the Department of Energy, not for the Department of Education. Those things should be abolished. I mean, we're seeing redundancy, and you know, I sat on the Planning Commission in North Myrtle Beach, and trust me when I tell you, they can take care of that business as easily as someone in Washington, D.C., but better, because now the people in North Myrtle Beach can go to their city council and discuss those issues that are right there at home. That's what we have home rule. That's why we have hometown government. That's why we have state government, to take care of those things that we know about that the feds have no idea what they're talking about.
Last question for you. I ask it to everybody, and we don't have much time to answer it, so I'll give you about 30 seconds. Okay. Why should I vote for you?
Because, Tim, I say what I mean, I do what I say. I said in 2010 when I ran for Congress against that whole slate, and I ended up endorsing Tim Scott, I said, vote for me or go to Hades, because I'm going to go to Afghanistan. And I did. I went to Afghanistan. I served my country, and I feel that I'm the only one of the candidates that actually will do what I say I will do. I'm a fighter. I don't take no very well. And I think one of the most important things is constituent service. Like I said, you can't work miracles up in Washington, D.C. I can go and fight for the people of this district, but certainly taking care of the people here at home, cutting through the bureaucracy when they come into the office is so important. And I think sometimes people lose sight of that.
All right. Katherine Jenerette, a candidate for the 7th Congressional District seat, a Republican. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.